It's 4 o'clock in the morning, it's time to start the trip and to pick up James. You ready?
No.
Okay, let's go.
We've seen this one before. Oh man. Smell.
After about 6.5 hours of driving, a lot of traffic, we got to Nürburgring area, we went to Nordschleife, we did a lap, we checked out the supercars and hanged out a bit, but of course, the main reason we came to this area was because of the Sim Racing Expo. While the Sim Racing Expo isn't really that big, the biggest names of sim racing are there, and also a few other ones that I didn't know about, but most of the big names are there. There's iRacing, they were showing up the TCR, the new tire model on the Formula 3, the damage system, and of course you can see that little boy over there is doing a video. But other names were also there that you probably know, like ImSims with their rigs. They have a very interesting rig that unfortunately I didn't have time to check out. Probably the most popular booth was the Fanatec one, as they were showing the direct drive wheels DD1 and DD2 front and center, but I also had a lot of fun with all of these motion rigs. There were plenty to choose from in Sim Racing Expo. The first one that I tried was this Sim Gear one. It was a 6 degrees of freedom if I'm not mistaken, and it was set up as a literal roller coaster. It was really fun, but if I was setting it up for myself, I would not make it as violent as it was, though I can see a lot of potential in it, even at home if you have the money, but this is more of a expo thing, or more of a rig that you would be paying to get into as if it were on arcades. I did enjoy some of its stuff because you kind of feel the yaw movements. You did feel a bit of flex on the tires, but once again it was set up as a bit violent, and at the end of it I was just sweating. This next one for me was very impressive because of the form factor. This is the Sim Rig 1. As you can see, there's only 4 actuators that can be put on the bottom of your rig, and it will do 3 degrees of freedom. The way it was set up for this expo, unfortunately it wasn't right for me because I would be moving so much that I would lose the concentration, and unfortunately also where I should focus on the screen. But this rig with VR would be an amazing combination because you wouldn't have that situation. Over here I lose control because I lose the center of the screen. Now this one, the Nerf Tech one, for me is one of the big winners over here of the expo. It was once again set up a little too strongly, but in terms of movement and in terms of how they all set up the apparatus in Sim Racing Expo, it was an immense immersive experience. The field of view was just perfect. The movement, once again, it was a little bit too much, but it was really done well, and you are strapped on into the seat, so you really feel all the bumps. But once again, it's just a matter of setting it up properly for the person in question, in this case me. But the one I enjoyed the most was this SimCraft one. This one for me is the winner of the Sim Racing Expo in terms of motion rigs. It was just perfect in every single way. If I had to nitpick, the only thing I didn't like was the brake pedal, because the movement was just so perfect and easy to understand what the car was doing. You could actually understand before the car was spinning out that you were going to lose control. The steering wheel, the wheelbase was set up properly, perfect for seat back, but the brake pedal was a bit too hard to push. But other than that, The Simcraft one was the one that I enjoyed the most. Unfortunately, it's also one that is very expensive and I could not ever afford one of those things. Outside of the realm of motion rigs, I had the opportunity to try the R-Factor 2 Porsche Cup, GT3 Cup. I was immensely surprised on how good it is. I'm not sure if it was the setup that they put on the car, if it was the setup they had hardware-wise with this DD1 and the McLaren, and also I think it's the Juxenveld Sprints. It was just so natural getting into the car and driving it. I never had this experience in any other GT3 Cup available in other sims, iRacing, Assetto Corsa or R3. It just felt so natural and the inputs just made sense. There's no oversteer coming out of nowhere, not too much understeer. There's still some, but the car just drives very naturally. You don't need to overdrive it or push it too much. The car just feels connected to the driver, and I don't know how to explain it. Once again, I'm not sure if this was the setup they put on the car to feel like this, because it's a setup like this in iRacing or Assetto Corsa would feel like a cheat almost. But whatever they've done, they just made me a believer on this car, and I believe I'm gonna get it when it comes out. One thing that I had to wait a lot until I could try it, because there were a lot of people using this wheel, was the Fanatec Podium Porsche wheel. So these are still not out, but I had a very good impression of them. They are exceptionally well built, and the price point isn't that bad as far as I can understand for what it delivers. There's a good selection of many types of buttons, including rotaries. There's a high visibility LED screen with also a rev gauge. The feedback on each particular button is impressive, and the build quality seems really nice. It felt really nice on the hand, but if I had to drive this myself, I would never use this with bare hands. I would always use this with gloves, because even though it's not the most expensive wheel out there, it's not really inexpensive, and you really want to maintain this wheel for a long time if you're gonna buy it. I did enjoy a lot of Sim Racing Expo. Unfortunately, I did not try everything that I should have tried and everything that I should have seen. There are a few interesting shops, you know, showing these GT3 cars. There was also a slot car experience, which I had a lot of fun with, Gamer also with, and you have of course the arena on ADAC, where they were having some tournaments in iRacing and R3. This was also very fun to experience and to watch some of the best sim racers in the world competing for a top position. However, one of the objectives that I had going into Sim Racing Expo was going into the Nordschleife. I was able to do 2 laps, which I'll do a full debrief and do a comparison between Sims and the real Nordschleife in a video very soon. But it was a lot of fun, even though it was a little bit scary. I will try to come back next year for Sim Racing 2020, but this time I'm going to take the plane, as even though the trip wasn't that bad, coming back at Calais it was so awful. We had to wait about 6 hours until we could board the plane, and I got back at 2 o'clock in the evening. Also, going into Nordschleife with your own car, you risk crashing and of course paying not only the Armco but the damage that you do to your car, and if you crash into another car, very likely you'll also have to pay the damages on the other car and probably ruin your life forever. But other than that, it was really fun. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to press like, subscribe and share. Also hit the notification bell, that helps a lot, and you'll see videos and streams when they come out. Guys, once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.